ever met someone and felt something shift? Not just in your emotions, not just in your thoughts, but deep in your spirit. I'm not talking about a moment of attraction. I'm talking about a moment of revelation. Because when you meet the one God has for you, something supernatural happens. It's not just chemistry, it's calling. It's not just excitement, it's alignment. And if you are wondering whether you've met that person, let me tell you, there are 5 undeniable signs that God's hand is on it. When you meet the one God has chosen for you, something in your spirit settles. The striving, the second guessing, the need to prove yourself, it all begins to fade because God's will doesn't come wrapped in confusion. When God aligns 2 hearts, He doesn't do it through pressure, manipulation, or fear. He does it through peace. And that peace doesn't mean perfection, but it does mean assurance. There is something different about a relationship that carries God's signature. It doesn't require you to compromise your values or negotiate your word. It doesn't leave you questioning whether you are loved or if you are enough. You don't have to perform to keep it or chase it to sustain it. When God writes the love story, He also writes peace into it. That peace shows up in the way you communicate, in the way you handle conflict, in the way your heart rests instead of racing with anxiety. This kind of relationship doesn't start with the high of infatuation followed by the crash of uncertainty. It isn't built on emotional roller coasters that leave you wondering where you stand. Instead, there is a knowing, a sense that no matter what challenges come, the foundation is steady. It doesn't mean you won't have moments of doubt, but those moments don't control the relationship. God's presence in a relationship brings a kind of security that no amount of words or actions can manufacture. It's a peace that goes beyond human understanding. You may have been in situations before where you felt like you had to prove your worth, like love was something you had to earn. Maybe you've experienced relationships where you had to constantly question if you were enough, if you were too much, if you were being taken for granted. But when God brings you into a relationship that is part of His will, all of that noise begins to quiet. You are not spending your nights replaying conversations, wondering what you should have done differently. You are not sitting in a cycle of emotional highs and lows, trying to decode mixed signals. Instead, there is a steady, unwavering confidence, not just in them, but in what God is doing. Pressure makes you feel like you have to rush. It makes you feel like if you don't say the right thing or act the right way, you might lose the connection. Pressure makes you believe that love is a battlefield where you have to fight to keep someone's attention. But when God is in it, there is rest. Not the kind of rest that makes you complacent, but the kind of rest that allows you to be fully present, fully yourself, and fully secure in the fact that what God has brought together, He will sustain. There's a difference between a relationship that is built by human effort and a relationship that is orchestrated by God. Human effort says you have to control the outcome, that you have to strive to keep things together. But when God is writing the story, you can surrender the pen. You don't have to manipulate the details. You don't have to force things to fit. There is a divine ease. Not because love doesn't require work, but because you are both working from a place of grace, not fear. When God aligns 2 people, He also aligns their timing. That means you don't have to rush into something just because you're afraid of missing out. That means you don't have to force a commitment before it's time or hold on to something that is no longer bearing fruit. There is peace in the process, in the waiting, in the unfolding. And even if the journey isn't perfect, there is still an underlying assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. The enemy loves to attack relationships by planting seeds of doubt, insecurity, and fear. He wants you to believe that love is always a struggle, that it always comes with anxiety, that you always have to fight just to be seen and valued. But God's love doesn't operate that way, and neither do relationships that are rooted in Him. His love covers. His love reassures. His love brings stillness to the storms inside of you. And when you are connected to someone who is part of His plan, that love will be reflected in how they treat you, in how they respect you, in how they cherish you. You may have spent years praying for the right person, wondering if love was something that would always feel heavy. You may have believed that pressure was normal, that stress was just part of the deal. But when God steps into your love story, He rewrites what you thought love had to be. He replaces the pressure with peace, the confusion with clarity, the striving with surrender. You don't have to fight for a place in someone's heart when God has already prepared it for you. There is a difference between fighting for a relationship that God is building and fighting to hold on to something God never ordained. One produces fruit, the other produces exhaustion. One deepens your faith, the other depletes it. One brings you closer to God, the other pulls you away. The difference isn't just in how it looks, it's in how it feels. Because when God is in it, His peace becomes the confirmation. You will not have to beg for love that is God sent. You won't have to chase it, manipulate it, or live in fear of losing it. When it is from Him, it will be marked by something this world cannot manufacture. A peace that tells you this is where you are supposed to be. A peace that reassures you even when challenges come. A peace that lets you know that you don't have to control what God has already ordained. When God brings the right person into your life, everything about your journey begins to make sense in a way it never has before. Suddenly you see why certain relationships didn't work, why some doors had to close, and why God kept you hidden in certain seasons. This relationship isn't just about companionship, it's about assignment. It's about stepping into the fullness of who God created you to be, with someone who doesn't just love you, but also aligns with your destiny. This is not a relationship built only on emotions, attraction, or convenience. It is a relationship marked by purpose. That means you are not just walking together, you are growing together. You are not just in love, you are in alignment. This person doesn't just make you feel good, they push you toward what God has called you to do. They recognize the anointing on your life and honor it, not by competing with it or diminishing it, but by covering it, encouraging it, and helping it flourish. When you are with the one God has for you, your purpose takes center stage in a way that may even surprise you. Suddenly you are thinking bigger. You are dreaming differently. You are no longer content with just existing. You feel the urgency to step into everything God has been preparing you for. And the beautiful thing is, this person doesn't distract you from that purpose. They help activate it. They are not intimidated by your calling because they know that their purpose is intertwined with yours. You may have experienced relationships before where you had to dim your light, where you had to shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. Maybe you felt like your dreams were too big, your vision too much, your passion overwhelming. But when God places the right person in your life, they don't see your purpose as a threat. They see it as a gift. They celebrate what God is doing in you because they know that when you win, when you rise, the kingdom rises. When you walk in your anointing, they are blessed by the overflow. The wrong relationship will pull you away from your purpose. It will keep you distracted, stuck in cycles of confusion and compromise. It will make you question what God told you, delay your obedience, and exhaust your spirit. But the right relationship, the one that is God ordained, will sharpen you. It will push you closer to God. It will inspire you to pray more, seek more, believe more. This relationship will not be built on just temporary feelings, but on an eternal assignment. When God brings two people together, it is never just about romance. It is about kingdom impact. It is about what you are called to do together, how you are called to serve together, how your gifts align to fulfill something greater than yourselves. That is why this connection will feel different. It will not be shallow. It will not be just about what makes you happy in the moment. It will be about what makes you grow, what stretches you, what prepares you for the next level of your calling. This person will speak to the part of you that is still developing. They will remind you of what God has spoken over your life when you start to doubt it. They will intercede for you when you feel weak. They will challenge you when you become stagnant. Because real love doesn't just comfort, it cultivates. Real love doesn't just make you feel good, it makes you better. You may have been in relationships before where the focus was on the external, on appearances, on temporary attraction, on what was convenient in the moment. But this is not that. This is deeper. This is about the assignment. This is about making each other better for the glory of God. This is about being a reflection of God's love in the way you serve, the way you lead, the way you build together. When you meet the one God has chosen for you, your priorities shift. What used to seem important begins to fade, and what truly matters comes into focus. You no longer chase relationships that don't align with your destiny. You no longer settle for connections that don't challenge you to grow. You no longer entertain what is beneath what God has for you, because now you see that love was never just about emotions. It was always about purpose. This is why the waiting season is so important, because God is not just preparing you for a relationship. He's preparing you for partnership. He's making sure that when you meet this person, you are ready to build, ready to grow, ready to embrace everything He has in store. He is refining you so that when the right one comes, you will recognize them not by how they make you feel, but by how they align with what God is doing in your life. The enemy wants you to believe that love is just about feelings, that it's about finding someone who makes you happy in the moment. But God's version of love is different. It's about finding someone who pushes you closer to Him, who strengthens your faith, who encourages you to be obedient to your calling. And when you are with the right person, you won't just feel loved. You will feel empowered. You will feel equipped. You will feel like you can step into the next level of your purpose without fear, because you know you have a partner who is walking with you in faith. This relationship will not be perfect, but it will be purposeful. There will be challenges, but those challenges will not break you. They will build you. There will be moments of testing, but those moments will not create distance between you. They will deepen your connection. Because when God puts something together, He doesn't just give you love. He gives you the strength to sustain it. He gives you the grace to grow in it. He gives you the wisdom to steward it well. When you meet the one God has for you, the love will be different. Not just in how it feels, but in what it produces. It will not just bring joy, it will bring clarity. It will not just give you butterflies, it will give you direction. It will not just make your heart race, it will make your spirit rise. Because this is not just about who you love, it's about who you are becoming in the process. When God brings the right person into your life, they will not only love you as you are, but they will also challenge you to grow into who you were created to be. This kind of love doesn't allow you to remain stagnant. It stretches you, refines you, and pushes you toward purpose. It doesn't always feel comfortable, but it is necessary, because real love is not just about happiness. It's about transformation. You may have been used to relationships that allowed you to stay in cycles that God was calling you to break. You may have been connected to people who only affirmed where you were, rather than pushing you toward where you needed to go. But when God sends someone into your life as part of His plan, they will not just admire your potential, they will call it out. They will not allow you to settle for less than what God has placed inside of you. They will see the places in your life that need healing, growth, and maturity. And they will love you through the process of becoming. Growth is never easy, and love that comes from God will always require growth. There will be moments when their honesty challenges you. There will be times when they see something in you that you haven't fully confronted yet. There will be seasons where their presence in your life exposes things that God wants to heal. And in those moments, you will have to choose, will you resist the growth, or will you allow God to use this love to make you better? The love that is meant for you will not just comfort you, it will convict you. It will remind you of what God spoke over your life when you start to shrink back. It will challenge you when you try to run from your calling. It will hold you accountable when you want to take the easy way out. Because when God aligns you with someone, He does not do it just to give you companionship. He does it to push you deeper into His will. You may find that in this relationship, you are being called to heal in ways you never have before. Maybe you are being confronted with old wounds, past disappointments, or insecurities that you once hid. Maybe you are realizing that love is not just about receiving, but also about giving, about showing up in ways that require maturity, selflessness, and patience. Maybe you are learning that real love demands responsibility, that it is not just about emotions, but about commitment, consistency, and choosing to grow together even when it is difficult. There will be moments when this kind of love feels like a mirror, reflecting back the areas where you still need to surrender to God. There will be moments when it feels like stretching, when the easy thing would be to stay the same, but the right thing is to become better. There will be moments when you have to unlearn unhealthy habits, let go of past fears, and trust God in a deeper way than ever before. And in those moments, you will see that love is not just about feeling good. It is about being refined. The right relationship will challenge you spiritually. It will encourage you to pray more, to seek God more, to build a faith that is strong enough to sustain what He is doing in your life. You will realize that love is not just about emotional connection, but about spiritual alignment. You will see that this person is not just someone to walk with, but someone to war with. Someone who will stand in faith with you, intercede for you, and push you closer to God. This kind of love will also challenge your mindset. It will require you to think differently about love, about commitment, about the way you communicate and navigate conflict. You will realize that growth is not just about the big moments. It's about the small choices you make every day. The choice to listen when it will be easier to defend yourself. The choice to forgive when it will be easier to hold a grudge. The choice to humble yourself when pride wants to take control. Love that comes from God will require these choices because it is built to last. And anything that is built to last must be tested and refined. Growth in love means learning to be vulnerable, to be honest about your fears, to trust someone with the parts of you that you once kept hidden. It means allowing yourself to be seen fully, flaws and all, and choosing to work through the hard moments rather than running from them. It means learning that love is not about perfection, but about commitment, about being willing to do the work that love requires. This person will not just love who you are today, but they will love you enough to see who you are becoming. They will remind you that you are more than your past, more than your mistakes, more than the labels you once carried. They will see the version of you that God is still molding, and they will support you as you grow into that version. They will speak life into you when you feel discouraged. They will challenge you to step into new levels of faith, confidence, and purpose. They will not allow you to settle for less than what God has for you. At times, this growth may feel uncomfortable. It may stretch you in ways that you didn't expect. It may bring moments where you want to pull away, where the weight of transformation feels heavy. But when you are in a relationship that is led by God, you will see that this growth is not meant to break you. It is meant to prepare you. It is shaping you into someone who can steward love well, who can build a relationship that glorifies God, who can walk in purpose without fear or hesitation. This love will teach you that true growth is not about changing to please someone else, but about evolving into the person God created you to be. It will remind you that love is not just about what you feel, it's about who you are becoming. It will show you that the right person will not make you question your worth, but they will push you to see it more clearly. It will prove to you that real love is not afraid of the process, that it embraces the journey of becoming, and that it chooses growth even when it's difficult. Meet when God brings the right person into your life. The relationship will not just be about love as the world defines it. It will not be built on temporary emotions or fleeting attraction. It will be rooted in something deeper, something stronger, something that reflects the very nature of God's love. It will not be perfect, but it will be purposeful. It will not always be easy, but it will always be covered in grace. It will not just be about what you gain from it, but about what God does through it. This kind of love will teach you about patience. It will remind you that love is not just about excitement in the beginning, but about consistency through every season. You will learn that love is not just about how you feel in the moment, but about the choices you make daily. You will see that real love requires work, sacrifice, and selflessness. And in that process, you will see God's hand shaping you into the person He has called you to be. You will notice that this relationship does not demand perfection. It does not place unrealistic expectations on you. It does not make you feel like you have to earn love or prove your worth. Instead, it mirrors God's grace. It allows room for growth, for mistakes, for learning. It covers flaws with understanding. It forgives quickly. It does not hold on to past offenses. It is a love that does not shame or condemn, but builds up and encourages. It reflects the way God loves. Not because we are perfect, but because He chooses to love us anyway. This love will also require you to give grace in ways you never have before. You will see that just as you need love and patience, your partner does too. There will be moments when their flaws challenge you, when their imperfections make you want to pull away. But in those moments, you will be reminded that love is not about finding someone who never fails. It is about choosing to love even when failure happens. It is about choosing to see the best in someone, just as God sees the best in you. The way you communicate will begin to change. You will realize that love does not seek to win arguments, but to seek understanding. You will learn that speaking with love means choosing words that heal rather than words that wound. You will see that even in disagreements, there is a way to honor one another, to listen with patience, to respond with kindness. You will begin to notice that the love between you is not just about how you feel, but about how you reflect God's character in the way you treat each other. This relationship will teach you how to love unconditionally. The world teaches love that is transactional, love that only lasts as long as it is convenient, love that fades when things become difficult. But a God-centered love is different. It does not give up when challenges arise. It does not walk away at the first sign of imperfection. It fights for the relationship. It covers one another in prayer. It seeks wisdom rather than reacting out of emotion. It is not a love that is based on what is deserved, but on a decision to love, even when it is hard. You will begin to notice that this relationship calls you higher. It pushes you to be more like Christ. It challenges you to love in a way that reflects His love for the church. It encourages you to let go of selfishness, to lead with humility, to be patient in ways that only God can strengthen you to be. You will see that this love is not just about companionship, but about purpose. It is not just about happiness, but about holiness. It is not just about romance, but about refining. This relationship will also teach you about sacrifice. There will be moments when you have to put someone else's needs before your own. There will be times when you have to choose unity over pride. You will begin to understand that love is not just about receiving, but about giving, about serving, about laying down your own desires for the sake of something greater. And in that sacrifice, you will see a reflection of Christ's love. The love that gave everything, not out of obligation, but out of choice. You will experience a level of security that you may have never felt before. Not because there are no challenges, but because the foundation of the relationship is strong. Because when love is built on God, it does not waver with emotions. It does not crumble under pressure. It does not rely on human strength alone, but on the presence of God sustaining it. You will feel safe in this love, not because you and your partner are perfect, but because you both are rooted in something greater than yourselves. The relationship will be covered in prayer. You will find that you do not just talk to each other, but that you talk to God together. You will begin to seek Him for direction, for wisdom, for guidance. You will learn that true intimacy is not just physical. It is spiritual. It is built in the moments when you worship together. When you stand in faith together, when you lift each other up before God, you will see that a relationship that prays together stays connected in a way that nothing else can break. This relationship will remind you that love is not about possession, it is about partnership. It is about building something together that honors God. It is about walking in purpose, growing in faith, and creating a love that reflects the heart of God to the world around you. You will begin to see that love is not just a feeling, it is a ministry. It is an opportunity to show God's goodness, to demonstrate His kindness, to be an example of His love in the way you love each other. There will be challenges. There will be days when emotions run high, when misunderstandings happen, when doubts try to creep in. But in those moments, the love that God has placed between you will remind you to hold on, to work through it, to choose love even when it is not easy. You will realize that God's love is not about perfection. It is about endurance. It is about choosing to love even when feelings change, even when life is uncertain, even when circumstances test the foundation. The relationship will reflect God's faithfulness. Just as He has been patient with you, just as He has never given up on you, this love will remind you to do the same. It will show you that real love is not found in fleeting moments, but in a commitment that lasts. It will prove to you that when God writes your love story, He does not just give you a partner, He gives you a reflection of His heart.